Live from Pebble Beach in New York City, and I'm standing here in the middle of 400 life vests, 300 belonging to adults, 100 to children, found in the Mediterranean to represent the refugee crisis, where 65 million families fled places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. I can tell you by standing here, it feels really heavy, so we're going to show you what's going on here and talk to the people that set it up. We are now joined here with Marissa, one of the organisers of the event, and she was just telling me how horrible it was to kind of unpack them, especially the little life jackets you were saying. So these belong to both adults and children.
Yeah. So we at Oxfam are here today with these life jackets, which we retrieved from people who were fleeing sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East seeking refuge in Europe. and most of whom, many died, many survived, but these life jackets were discarded, and we're bringing them here today to remind world leaders meeting in the UN on Monday that with their failure to protect and respect the rights of human beings, we are seeing thousands of children and adults drowning in the Mediterranean and farther afield.
Absolutely. Sorry, can you hear us with that train going overhead? We'll just wait a sec. It's hard with that train. Yeah. Yeah, we're directly below the Brooklyn Bridge here, guys, on Pebble Beach, so it's a little loud. Please forgive us. So what was kind of the process like of unpacking these jackets and laying them out here? I know you got here at 5 a.m. this morning, but I mean, even standing in the middle of them, I felt very overwhelmed with emotion.
It's just extraordinarily tragic. When you pick up the life jackets, you realise that so many of them are actually filled with sponge. So there was never any option for people to safely reach Europe from whichever country they were fleeing from, wearing these in boats that are completely unsafe. And the idea that people every single day, in their thousands, are being forced into ships that are perilous in one of the most dangerous oceans in the world, wearing these flimsy life jackets, and who do not survive as a result, is extraordinarily traumatic. In addition, if you look at these life jackets closely, so many of them are tiny and belong to children, and they're indicative of the thousands and thousands of children who've drowned seeking safety, some alone, some with their parents, and all as a result of the inhumanity of world leaders in trying to respond to what is a very manageable crisis.
I think we need to reiterate the fact that these life jackets weren't real life jackets. In fact, they were filled with sponge. So these people really never had a chance. So what are you hoping to achieve with the UN summit next week in New York?
So it's the very first UN Migration Summit, so it's a really great opportunity for world leaders to come together and make tangible commitments that can actually really improve the lives of people seeking safety and security. We are hoping that they will come together and agree a compact which would actually allow people to move safely, either through different various legal channels, but essentially so that they won't have to get into boats that are so dangerous, and that Northern European and globally North countries will rescue and integrate more people, give them lives of safety and dignity, increase funding so that there is access to work and employment opportunities for them, and then ultimately that we will all work together up till 2018 when the next summit comes about to make sure that the 65 million people who are globally displaced at the moment can live lives of dignity.
Absolutely. So we know the number is 65 million people displaced. That is very heavy, but do we know how many people have died trying to make this voyage to Europe?
This year alone, the number of people who've died to date has actually already exceeded the number who died last year. So the trend is increasing all the time. And the more European leaders say that they're closing illegal routes, the more we're seeing an increase in people who are actually seeking safety using more dangerous routes, being forced into the hands of people traffickers, human smugglers, and suffering extraordinary exploitation and abuse. The number of people who've drowned this year alone is over 3,000.
3,000 people have drowned this year alone. That is very heavy. So we know the UN summit is about putting on international pressure to do something about this refugee crisis. But for our audience and people watching, is there anything we can do, the average person?
I really hope, and I see a lot of it here today with the number of families and joggers and dog walkers who stopped, that actually there can be more global solidarity put upon political leaders to really act to save lives and alleviate human suffering. Because without public support, leaders will not do anything, and all policy interventions will ring hollow. So my message today will be, we're seeing a rise in racism and xenophobia, we're seeing a failure of leaders to respond. If the public really come together and stand as one with refugees and migrants, then hopefully in another 2 years we will not be in the same situation we are in today, where we're laying out thousands more life jackets.
It almost feels like we have to kind of shock people. Like, I feel like no one was really paying attention to the crisis till we saw the little boy on the sand. Yeah. So is there a message that's been left out by the media? Is there anything else you want to tell us?
I think the reality is that 1 year since that child, Alan Kurdi, died washed up on a beach with his big brother and his mother, almost nothing has changed for the better in the lives of refugees and migrants. In fact, it's worsened. European leaders are building walls, they're pushing back refugees, closing borders, allowing police brutality and dogs to be set on women and children and men who are only using their legal right to seek refuge from war and conflict. I really hope that all the leaders, European and in the global north, come together at the summit to really address this type of behaviour. And also to remember that the majority of people who are refugees and migrants are not in the global north. They're in developing countries which are already trying to survive with their own impoverished populations. And Oxfam recently revealed that actually of the six most rich global economies, they host only 9% of the world's refugees. So this idea that rich countries are being overwhelmed with migrants and refugees and can't in any way finance that is absolute nonsense.
Thank you so much for your time, Marissa. Thank you. Okay, we're taking a quick commercial break, guys, so please stay tuned and we're going to show you more of the vests that lay here at Pebble Beach, live in New York. Thank you so much. No, you were great. This is nice. Hey guys, we are back live at Pebble Beach in New York City, where we're standing in front of 400 life jackets that were found in the Mediterranean. 300 belong to adults, 100 to children. This represents the 65 million families that have fled their country because of war, poverty, whatever the reason, and did not make it. I just spoke to Marissa and she was telling me that these jackets aren't in fact real. They're made of foam or something that doesn't make them actually float. So a lot of these people didn't have a chance. It feels very ominous standing here. I was saying to you, Shako, who behind the lens, that it feels very heavy indeed to be here. But I want you to kind of go and see all these life jackets that represent the refugees that didn't make it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here at Pebble Beach in New York City. Just to recap, we are here with 400 life jackets that were found in the Mediterranean, 300 belonging to adults, 100 to children, to represent the 65 million families that are currently displaced. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and stay tuned. We'll be giving you all the videos and stories as they come, as the refugee crisis sadly worsens. Thanks for tuning in.